Je m'excuse, mon français n'est pas très bon. Je m'appelle Andrew.
I'm sorry, my French is not very good.
That means I spend my day seeing patients who have need pacemakers, have heart rhythm problems, or families where there's sudden death going on. My friends tease me and say I'm an electrician up at the hospital. Access, equity, and quality of care are common goals for all of you health leaders as well as us leaders in the area of healthcare delivery. I'm here representing 2,500 cardiovascular specialists from across Canada. I live this in spades in the area of access. I go up north to Whitehorse for 2 weeks out of the year to do clinics in Prince Rupert as well. And in those situations, you see the people who have access, the local quality of care. I see a large Indigenous population and see those people struggling to get the best health care that we can do. We know the outcomes in these situations are not very good. What we don't have is a map and the tools by which to try to create improvement. We need to understand what the gaps are and try to deliver on them. We as specialists are the team leads to deliver a $30 billion business. It's a staggering amount of money. And we know that people also get low value care. That low value care is represented in unnecessary testing, ventures that are not necessarily advantageous, inappropriate hospital admissions, and so on. But we lack the tools to be able to compare and use that data to try to improve the system. Imagine investing in that business that doesn't measure, report, compare, or have system improvement. You would never invest in something like that, and yet that is the state that we are in and that we are aspiring to try to improve and change. Sadly, the data is there. So Canadian Institute of Health Information, or CIHI, has much of that data, but in fact, in many of its forms, it's siloed, it's not integrated or analyzed or then turned into improvement tools. And there's no mandate or resources to roll cardiac care data up into a national comparative report like we do in cancer care with CPAC, the Canadian Partnership Against Cancer. Provinces and territories have little tools by which they can do comparative analysis to understand how other places are improving their systems, how they're gaining efficiencies, and how they're delivering better care. If you were a heart institute in New Brunswick or in Manitoba, you're the only game in town. So as a result, understanding whether your length of stay or mortality rates or costs are in line or aspire to be the best in Canada is impossible right now. So we are looking to try to address that problem. As you know, the population is getting older. The scope of our population is getting bigger. Two of the top 5 reasons to come to the emergency room are heart failure and atrial fibrillation. Heart failure is going to cost you $750 million this year. That's an immense amount of funding. Atrial fibrillation is the same. Right now, about 45,000 people will be admitted to hospital next year for atrial fibrillation. Our recent guidelines looking at quality processes suggest we could probably avoid 60% of those admissions. Imagine the cost of hospitalization for a heart problem. Doesn't resolve itself typically in a day or two. It's expensive and intensive, and there's a huge cost avoidance opportunity. Believe it or not, we can now actually replace your heart valve and have you go home the next day without doing surgery. So a catheter procedure to give you a new heart valve is possible. This is a new venture. It targets typically seniors who have a poor quality of life and a poor outcome, restores quality of life and extends their life. But this is an expensive venture. It's innovation. So our ability to do this is wonderful for the people who want this, who want to avoid open heart surgery. But the cost of this is a recognized need that's advocated for by seniors on the access front. What we need to do is utilize the data, collect and utilize the data to try to develop system improvements to realize this. 20 years ago, the federal government came to CCS in conjunction with PHAC and said we need to develop those measures and methodologies for doing cardiac care reporting. We rose to the challenge and developed the tools in partnership with CIHI in 2012. We received funding through PHAC to work on a project that was funded for 3 years. We then developed those measurement tools, those reporting tools, proven methods, an annual report. The funding no longer existed as of 2015, and since then we have gone into our healthy reserves and virtually bankrupt ourselves to be able to show our commitment to this project as a member organization. This includes thousands of hours of volunteer both expertise and time, And we do have a nucleus of activities in 6 areas where we continue to generate a national map and report. What we are lacking in 2020 is funding to expand and sustain this. This is just 6 out of many areas within cardiac that require some measurement, comparative analysis, and then system improvement. Our ask is for $2.5 million for each year for the next 3 years to sustain and fully roll out that reporting system and work with CIHI to integrate this. In summary, we're asking for support to improve care, eliminate expensive, unhelpful components of care, and enable a learning cardiac healthcare system. Thank you. Merci. May which I look forward to your questions.